Welcome to BootSpy. My name's William, and today I'm talking about the Red Wing Classic Moc Toe. This is an iconic boot. I'm reviewing it, the leather quality, sole quality, fit and sizing, durability, and ultimately whether or not this boot is right for you. Let's get into it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. As I said, today we are reviewing the Red Wing Heritage Classic Moc Toe. Now this is in Red Wing's Slate Muleskinner. They sent this over to me. This is a brand new leather option. This is new to 2021. I added this to the list of my top 5 spring and summer boots because of this really light roughed out suede. So I'm really excited to get to try this iconic boot. So let's dive straight in. When it comes to the style of the Red Wing Moc Toe, there are actually a few versions of this boot. Now I have the most standard. This is very similar to the Red Wing 875, which is the most popular, the original version of the classic Red Wing Moc Toe. The 875 has that Oro Legacy leather that's kind of it almost starts off orange, but it really picks up a beautiful patina really quickly. It really seeps in oils. And so that's kind of the classic version. And this is a 6-inch boot. They do have an 8-inch version. And then there's also the Red Wing 1907, which is made with the copper rough and tough leather. It's built on a slightly different last. I think it's the number 45 last. It has a little more space in the footbed, so you can add in a custom orthopedic insole. And then also it has a storm welt around the side, whereas this just has the standard 360-degree Goodyear welt. It's called a Moc Toe because it has this moccasin toe construction. Kind of makes sense, it's all in the name, which is this U-shaped toe with a raised edge. It's a little bit different than some other Moc Toe style boots out there in that it does have that raised edge. It has the contrasting stitch and then the Puritan triple stitching along the upper. Red Wing Moc Toe has a 360-degree Goodyear welt as opposed to the Red Wing Iron Ranger, which has a 270-degree Goodyear welt. Doesn't really make that much difference in the long run in terms of water resistance or anything like that. But that is something to note, that it is really easy to resole for cobblers when the time comes. Looking at the leather quality, as I said, I did get the Slate Muleskinner. This is brand new to 2021, just released. And I didn't go with the 875, which is kind of the original, the most popular. That's that Oro Legacy leather. I have so many brown boots already, I just couldn't justify it. And I was really curious about this roughed out suede. I wanted to check it out and just see how that patinaed as well. Because I don't know, it's just something I'm really interested in. I have plenty of matte leather boots. I wanted something a little bit different, and this definitely fit the bill. For the Slate Muleskinner leather, I am super pleased with it. I broke these in, I spent 5-6 miles walking around, kind of broke them in, and then I did a larger hike. It was probably 5 to 6 miles on its own. And it was an intense hike. It was up in the Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina. And I stepped in a bunch of mud, got them pretty caked, submerged them in water 2 or 3 times. And water pretty much just slid off this leather. So it is an oil tan leather, and it is pretty richly packed with oils and waxes. It's definitely not your regular suede. This stuff is beefy. One thing that's interesting about the Moc Toe is that the tongue gusset is pretty high. It comes up to basically the second eyelet right here, which is higher than most boots do. This helps with water resistance. This definitely helped keep my feet dry when I was walking through these rivers. I definitely submerged my foot a few times and my socks never got wet. So it's not waterproof. The leather will take on water. It is only a Goodyear welt. It's not a water sealed welt or a storm welt or anything like that. But in terms of practical water resistance, I don't think your feet are gonna get wet at all in these boots. Looking at the sole quality, these do feature a natural crepe rubber sole, and that was very surprising to me. My only experience with crepe rubber soles is with the Clark's Desert boot. And those are very comfortable, they're very soft, have a lot of shock absorption, but they're not necessarily the most rugged. And you step on a rock, you can definitely feel it. It's kind of like the Princess and the Pea. That's how I feel about Clark's boots. That crepe rubber is just it didn't ever strike me as being very durable. And it also kind of bothered me how much the sole would get dirty, how quickly it would get dirty. So I did notice that the sole around here got pretty dirty pretty quickly. I was able to scrub this off with a rag before I filmed this, just to make them look a little bit nicer. So there is that, but this is way more dense of crepe rubber than the Clark's Desert boot. So while it is still pretty soft and has a lot of shock absorption, you know, especially if you're comparing it to like the Red Wing Iron Ranger sole, which is like hard like a rock. The sole has a lot of shock absorption, but it is way more firm. And so when I'm walking on rocks and on uneven terrain, it performed a lot better. One thing that kind of worries me is that when I look at pictures of people wearing their Red Wing Moc Toes, their heel is almost always worn down. And that's definitely because this is crepe rubber. It's not quite as durable as the cork nitrile or, you know, a Vibram rubber sole. So that heel's gonna wear down a lot faster. This tread is gonna wear down pretty quickly. I'd say maybe 6-7 months, something like that, where it's gonna wear down a bit. But of course, it's a lot cheaper to get these resoled. It's pretty easy. You can get them resoled with almost anything you want. So that's something to consider. I feel that I need to make a special shout out for the grip on these. Now, these do not look particularly grippy in my opinion. I thought I was gonna slide all over the place, but on really slippery rock in some pretty important situations where I'm like, you know, on a rock that's like slanted like this and I'm running across, I had no problem at all. I think that crepe rubber really stuck to the rock and the grip was fantastic. The footbed is a thick piece of vegetable tan leather, and then it has a cork midsole. Now, originally those two pieces, it's not very comfortable. It feels kind of hard at first, but as you walk around, I'm gonna say about mile 20 is when your foot sinks into it, and then you're feeling it's a lot more comfortable after about mile 20. But the first 20 miles, for me anyway, not that it was like super uncomfortable, but it's not like wearing a pair of Thursday boots that have this like really thick sneaker-like feel. You're definitely putting your feet into a solid pair of American-built boots, and that thick leather, you can definitely feel it under your foot. Getting the fit and sizing right on your Red Wing Moc Toes can be a little bit tricky. I've heard of people going a full size down if they have a more narrow foot. I ended up getting a size 10. I'm a size 10.5 in sneakers. I did the classic half size down. That's what worked for my Iron Rangers. And that's also what worked for me on the Moc Toes. I have heard people who have, you know, worn Iron Rangers, they get their half size down in the Moc Toe and they have a different experience because this whole toe box is really, really high. I mean, just look at this. This is pretty tall. So you'll have a lot of extra room in the toe no matter what. The key is to make sure that you get the sides to fit well and an instep snug. Looking at the long-term durability, I've only had these boots for about a month, so it's kind of hard to say how they're gonna hold up. I can say from that first hike, I put them through a bunch of stuff and the leather did really well. Now, as I said, I'm a little bit worried about the sole because it is crepe rubber, and I've seen so many pictures of people after 1 year where that heel really starts to wear down, the tread starts to wear down. I think that's just a natural product of it being crepe rubber. I know that there's gonna be no problem resoling it. I've had such a good experience with my Red Wing Iron Rangers, so I know in terms of stitching, in terms of build quality, in terms of that footbed, all of that's gonna hold up really, really well. I'm very confident in that, and I'm very confident in the leather. So my only worry is with that crepe rubber sole, but remains to be seen. You guys can check out some older ones. You know, it's like if you wanna see somebody wearing a Red Wing Moc Toe, they've been doing it since 1952. So you can definitely find some pictures online in terms of how the sole wears over time. Here's my final verdict on the Red Wing Classic Moc Toe. Now, if you have a style that is more slim fit, a narrower, more tapered leg opening, then you might want to try something like the Thursday Diplomat, which is way more narrow through the toe and then has a smaller, shorter profile. It's a little more sleek of a boot, but it still has that same, you know, workwear aesthetic. That could be a good option for you. That said, I do have some jeans in that is more my style, that slimmer style, but I do have some jeans with wider leg openings, and this fits perfectly with those. I mean, this is an icon. It is a classic boot. I love the Slate Muleskinner leather. In terms of ruggedness, this is a total rock star. It pretty much looks good as new, even after I dipped it in the water many times, got it caked in mud. You can tell a little bit in the sole, but otherwise, like, it's looking great still. So if you're looking for a rugged masculine boot with a tall profile and just like a beefy look and a boot that's gonna last for years and years, well then you cannot go wrong with the Red Wing Classic Moc Toe. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button down below and also give me a thumbs up. Both are super helpful for the channel and I really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, put your best boot forward.